Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on The Crowns Game by Evelyn Skye. Woo! So a brief synopsis about this book for the non-spoiler people is that this book takes place in the 1800s in Russia, and there are two enchanters and they have to compete in a series of enchantments to be the king's emperor enchanter. And so they have to compete, and whoever loses dies. And I think that's enough information for the non-spoiler people. So if you don't want to be spoiled, goodbye. And for the people that are ready to get into this book review, let's get into it. In 3, 2, 1. Vika gets bread from the Cinderella shop on Auction Island from Ludmilla for her dad, who's Sergey, for her magic lesson. And her magic lesson is she has to strike a specific tree with her lightning, and that tree has been connected to the other trees with foil so that the fire spreads, and she uses ice to escape. And then we meet Nikolai, and he's ward of Galina. Nikolai is also an enchanter, and his training is to sort 5 books back in their place out of all of the books in the Imperial Public Library. So now we have this conflict because both Vika and Nikolai want to be Imperial Enchanter, which is why the Crowns Game has to happen. We then meet Yelena and Pasha. They are foils, where Pasha's more creative and carefree. Yelena is not carefree. We also meet the Tsar and the Tsarina. So Yuliana tells the Tsar that he needs to commence the Crowns Game. And while that's happening, Nikolai and Pasha, because they're best friends, go to Auction Island to hunt, and they end up seeing Vika doing enchanting things with fire. We find out Sergey and Galina are siblings. We meet Renata, who is a servant at Galina's place, who has a thing for Nikolai. And then, because the Crowns Game has to commence, all the contestants meet each other at the Enchanted Hollow. And at the Enchanted Hollow, the contestants meet each other as well as the other mentors. The king shows up, the enchanters take the oath, Galina and Sergey have to leave, and they're taken in a whirlwind to Siberia. But before that, they each give their contestants a gift. So Sergey gives Vika a bracelet, and Galina gives Nikolai a knife. Beautiful enchantments happen. There's unrest in Russia, with a lot of people wanting to overthrow the Tsar and the Tsarina. Sergey dies, the Tsar and Tsarina die, the enchanters duel, and Nikolai is dead. Or is he? Okay, so my first favorite moment is Nikolai, and how Nikolai is just so resilient and determined, because even though he's the ward of Galina, Galina doesn't give him anything. And so he has this massive skill set because he was able to barter with people that could teach him these things. Like he helped cut clothes for the people that made clothes, and he helped sharpen the swords for the people that taught him swords. And I just loved how resilient and strong he was. And also, he can dress. Like, he was like, oh, I gotta make sure that I'm wearing my paisley coat and my top hat and my cravat. And I was like, wow, he knows how to dress. My next favorite moment is when Pasha asks Nikolai, where should we go hunting? And he all of a sudden, just for no reason, goes, Auction Island. And I'm like, it's the bond between y'all that is pulling y'all together, because Auction Island is where Vika is. So y'all being pulled together and y'all don't even know it. Another one of my favorite moments is when Vika meets Galina and Nikolai for the first time at the Enchanted Hollow. And Galina's just, floating, and Vika's like, how arrogant and obnoxious to float everywhere you go. Like, because Nikolai already saw Vika in Auction Island in the forest when she was coming out of the fire, he already knows what she looks like, even though Sergey has put up a shield around her to deflect what her appearance is. And so because he already knows what she looks like, he can see through the shield, and she's wearing that green dress that we talk about in the beginning of the book. And she had thrown away a yellow ribbon that was supposed to be cinched at her waist. And because Nikolai knows how to dress people, he's like, that dress would be slightly better if we had a ribbon around her waist, preferably in yellow. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Vika doesn't back down, okay? She asks the king questions when they're in the Enchanted Hollow. One of her questions is like, so you just kill one of us at the end? Is that how it works? And everyone's like, oh, insolent girl, however you interrupt the king. And I'm like, yes, interrupt the king all you want, girl. Okay, my next favorite moment is the first moment that Pasha and Ludmilla interact, because Pasha has gone undercover as he usually does, and he's going to try to find Vika, so he goes to the Cinderella bakery to talk to Ludmilla because he's been told that Ludmilla knows everybody. So he goes there and he's like, hello everybody, bonjour. And he's speaking in French because all the aristocrats in Russia speak French, and everyone's like, oh, look at this Frenchie speaking in French and not Russian. So they tease him, and he and Ludmilla have this like quick little banter that's like, and so it was just so funny. What happens is he ends up sending her a glass pumpkin that we later use in one of the enchantments. So let's talk about the moves. Nikolai's first move is that he repaints the buildings on Nevsky Prospect. So he paints them all vibrant and beautiful colors, and it makes the city look so much better because the theme is make the prince happy because it's his birthday week. So while he does that, Vika sees it and she's like, you know what? I can do better. So she has a water show and she has all the water, you know, jumping and funneling and doing all cool things. But not only that, she takes the colors that Nikolai used on the buildings and has the water tone those colors too. And I was like, yes, girl. Like, not only did she come forward with the water, but she also was able to take something that he did, apply it to her trick, and make it so much better. I was like, wow, boss move right there. That's how you do it, girl. That's how you do it. The second move is Nikolai and his puppet show, and then the ballerina and the harlequin are floating and dancing in the air, and during that, he almost kills Vika because he traps her in like this bubble and almost kills her. Also, what happens after Nikolai paints the buildings is that he has stone pigeons attack Vika, and Vika also almost drowns Nikolai with the water from her water show. So every time they do a move, they also in some way try to kill someone, but they stop at the last moment. Vika's next move, her second move, was Cinderella food, as well as almost striking down Nikolai with lightning and storm. So what she does is she first takes the glass pumpkin that Pasha gave to Ludmilla, and she blows it up to make it as big as a store could be. And then she makes all this extravagant food, and she has a pear pie, like a pear tart shaped as a pear, and she has like floating ice cream puffs, and I'm just like, oh, this sounds like the bakery of heaven. So Nikolai's third move is that he has a masquerade box and an imagination box. So his masquerade box is preparing for Pasha's masquerade party. So people put in their clothes into the box, and amazing, gorgeous, beautiful clothes come out, and I'm like, I wish I had this box. And he also sends an imagination box to Vika, and she can imagine anything with it. Like, she imagined a dresser from her home, and the wardrobe warped into that dresser and other things. So that was cool. Vika's third move is actually Island Part 1. So she makes an island, but because she focuses mostly on the natural, she doesn't make a dock, she doesn't put up benches, so she just has the beautiful greenery and the beautiful birds. And even though it's looking cold, like we're in wintry times, like we still have vibrant colors, like fall and spring colors on the island. Nikolai's fourth move is actually Island Part 2. So he goes back to her island, makes a dock, puts up all these nice paper lanterns, and also makes benches. But these benches, they're not just regular benches, okay? These benches, you sit on them and they transcend you to an imagination memory. Then what happens is Vika's fourth move is actually trashing of Nikolai's house, and that is because Vika has had her mark on her for so long, and if you don't make your move while you have your mark, eventually that mark will like kill you and like burn you from the inside out. And so she trashes his place because her dad just died. And a bunch of other things happen, which I'm gonna talk about later. But based on like these four moves, who do you think would have won? Because I think Vika would have won. So let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you think Nikolai would have won and why. because Vika bested him in every way possible. Now, apart from the moves, I loved how Ludmilla moved in with Vika during the Crowns game because Vika didn't have anybody except for Sergey, and because Ludmilla knew that she was an enchanter and made the relationship more honest because Vika didn't have to hide from anybody at home. My next favorite moment is the ball. So Pasha ends up inviting Vika to the ball through Ludmilla when he goes to see the Cinderella pumpkin that's actually in St. Petersburg. So he invites her, and at the ball, Pasha first goes down as like an angel and he dances with people, but he wasn't introduced and he was dancing with people that were quote unquote commoners. So his parents make him change and they're like, you need to get it together. You're supposed to be the next czar. You're not acting like a czar. You need to grow up. And they make him change into like his military uniform. And I'm just like, no. But then what happens is next, after Pasha enters, we have Ludmilla and Vika enter, and Ludmilla is in a dress made out of chocolate. But that's not even the best part. That's not even the best part because Vika is in a dress made out of ice and snow. Like her mind. Can you imagine that? I was like, she's ooh. And when she moves, like people get cold around her because like her dress is actual ice and snow. Pasha and Vika dance, and then Nikolai and Vika dance. And because Vika can't actually do any like traditional dances that they're doing at the ball, Nikolai uses his magic to help her dance, which I thought was really cute. But then everything changes because Vika's like, why am I enjoying this if one of us is gonna die? I should just leave. And she leaves, and I'm like, no. But anyway, you can see that both of the guys like Vika, and at this point, because you've already seen my Throne of Glass, this is what I want to say. This is how you execute a love triangle. This is how it's done, okay? Like, I actually feel like these two characters, Pasha and Nikolai, are two different characters, okay? It's just great, bruh. It's great. This is how you do a love triangle. My next favorite moment is when Nikolai reveals that he is the other enchanter to Pasha, okay? And he does this because Pasha's like, we have to find a way to stop the other enchanter because I love Vika. And Pasha's like, you have no idea, Nikolai, the things you don't know. And Nikolai slams down the vodka bottle and it crashes. He's like, I already know too much! And then he puts the bottle back together and he puts the liquid back in there and then he stitches up Pasha's shirt. And Pasha's like, you, the other enchanter? And my last favorite moment, even though it's a little bit dark, is when Nikolai confesses his love for Vika and he's trying to, Romeo the Juliet. And he ends up stabbing himself with a knife because he loves Vika and he doesn't want Vika to die. But because the knife has been enchanted by Galina, the knife actually ends up trying to kill Vika because it's been charmed to kill Vika. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And I was like, see, this is how you Romeo the Juliet. This is how you do the forbidden love. This is how you make emotions happen, bro. Make them happen. My first yikes moment is how the village just hands over Nikolai to Galina just for 4 pieces of livestock, which I'm like, dang. And later Nikolai's mom was like, really? How trash are you? The next yikes moment is how sad I was when the Tsarina was sick. The Tsarina was the only person who Pasha really could be around in his family. His mom was the only person who saw Pasha for Pasha. My next yikes moment, Renata, man. Renata and her infatuation with Nikolai. It was very obvious that he did not like her, and yet she's still like stroking his hair and like trying to comfort him. And then she's like, I love you. And he was like, yep, you are a great friend. And at that moment, I'm just like, cue the Zoe 101. Rejected. Yeah, you just got rejected. REJECTED, rejected. My next yikes moment is the fact that Galina wants Nikolai to kill to win the Crowns game. Like when she puts all those animals in his room and she's like, you're gonna have to get used to killing if you want to win this game. And the fact that she gave him a knife to kill for the game, I just know you can do so much more than kill. Like, let your magic show why you should be the Imperial Enchanter. Obviously, she wants him to kill because she knows his magic cannot compete with Vika, but I digress. So this is Vika's second move, And when she first is attacking Nikolai with the lightning, after what happened with the puppetry show, and she attacked him, and then her turn ended, I was like, I hope she did more than just attack him, because that's not cool. But then she did the whole Cinderella pastry thing, and I was like, yeah, that's how you do a move. But I was like, way to bury the lead. So we get the reveal that the bracelet Sergei gave to Vika is actually a conduit of his life force into Vika, and because she's using so much magic and more magic than she's ever used before, he ends up dying because she's using all of his life force. And I was like, no, Sergei, you're her father figure. Another yikes moment for me is the fact that Vika evanesced the Tsar and the Tsarina to the sea. And I was like, no, because she's using her dad. And because of all of that, because she evanesced 2 people, and that's a lot of power, that was all it took for Sergei's last drink to be taken. And that's the final straw and caused Sergei to die. And I was like, no. First of all, I was mad. I was like, the Tsarina's gonna die anyway, so why are you evanescing her? It's not gonna do anything. And then we find out that Nikolai's quasi-dead mom came back from the dead and wants to kill the Tsar. So I'm like, should he even evanesced him? He's marked for death anyway. So you're just wasting it. But she didn't know that. But I was just like, oh no, what are you doing? Aizana, bruh. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Okay, so she woke up from half death, in between life and death, to avenge her son. And she has to kill for strength, and I'm like, ew, that's gross. But here's my thing, right? The gag is she kills the Tsar to like save her son, but then her son like turns on her as like, and like locks her in the church, and he's like, you need to spend some time in here, and just leaves her alone. And especially the fact that Aizana was trying to overthrow Pasha and say that Nikolai is actually the true heir because he's older than Pasha. I was like, wow, bruh, that's crazy. Yikes. But also, I thought she was extremely naive to think killing the Tsar would end the game, because the Tsar has a descendant who's gonna be the next Tsar. So the game's just gonna keep going with that Tsar. So you killing that Tsar does nothing. So you should just admit that the reason why you killed him is for revenge and not actually to help your son. My last yikes moment is that Pasha was not strong enough to throw off his sister, because he's letting his sister manipulate him. As soon as his parents died, he lets his sister manipulate him and tell him, you're gonna be the Tsar, because there's no other choice, and you need to get the crowns game, and you need to make it a duel, and we're gonna kidnap the people they care about because we need to make them duel. And Pasha didn't do anything about it. He was just stern and just pretending like he thought what he was doing was best, even though he knew it was wrong. He knew it was wrong and he did nothing about it. And that made me so mad. It made me not like Pasha as much, and made me really not like Juliana. My first shake the table moment is Nikolai and his self-doubt. Already at the beginning, he's like, I'm not that strong. Especially when he sees Vika, he's like, oh, I can't compete. No, Nikolai. See, if you think you're not as strong, you're not gonna perform as strong. You have to believe it. You have to believe it and manifest it into being, which I thought was important, because to see how powerful he is, to see all the talent he is, and to think that he can't amount to that, although I still think Vika won, hands down. But it's just important to see, because a lot of people with a lot of potential and power and strength do not see themselves as having that much power and strength. So I thought it was an important thing to include, so that people that have those tendencies can actually see how strong they are on the inside. I already mentioned how Renata is infatuated with Nikolai, and how Nikolai doesn't return her infatuation. But the fact that at the end of the book, she kisses Nikolai, knowing full and happy well that he does not like her and sees her as nothing but a friend. No, okay? That was inappropriate. There was no consent. You know he didn't like you, so why would you kiss him? It goes both ways. It goes both ways. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. My next shake the table moment is how Pasha's father and his sister expect so much. And I think this was an important moment, because a lot of times people feel familiar pressure to do certain things. Like, some people are like, oh, I have to be a doctor because my family wants me to be a doctor. Or, oh, I have to do this because my family wants this. But all of that pressure ends up making that person, first of all, not happy. And second of all, it makes them resent the things that they're being forced to do, or that they feel like they're being forced to do. My next shake the table moment is Juliana. Bruh, didn't like her. She needs to work on her people skills, okay? So the thing that really set me off is when she was like, Vika is not your equal, Pasha, and Nikolai is a commoner who can only hope. His only hope is to work for you, Pasha. I was like, no, how can you be the princess And you're supposed to lead people, but the people you're leading, you're treating like they're nothing. Like that's not how you lead a group. That's not how you inspire people. And I thought this was important to include because a lot of people in high positions feel holier than thou and then just talk terribly about other people that are quote unquote below them. My next shake the table moment is the relationship between the Tsar and the Tsar Irina. And I was like, it's typical of the Tsar to practice infidelity. But it was just such a shake the table moment, bruh. It was. And the fact that he realized what he was doing was wrong, he ended up loving her, and then she died after he finally started loving her. You can't shake the table more than that, bro. You can't. So in contrast to Renata, when Vika and Pasha are on a carriage ride and he wants to kiss her and he's like, I can't kiss her without her consent. I was like, that's it, bro. That's it. And then my final shake the table moment is when this whole Pasha Nikolai drama is happening, when Pasha realizes that Nikolai also likes Vika, and Pasha yells, why are you trying to steal Vika from me? I'm like, first of all, Vika is not an inanimate object. She is a person, okay? You can't steal her from someone. That's her choice. You can't steal her from someone because she moves when she wants to move because she's her own person, okay? And I thought it was important because Pasha, he's a prince. He thinks everything belongs to him. And we're trying to battle that mentality now. And also, it contradicts the patriarchal society and the sexist society that sees women as property for men. Shake the table. What do you mean it didn't record? Okay, so in case you're noticing that I'm wearing a different shirt, that is in fact because I recorded this part and I record on my phone. I tried to send it to my computer. My computer processed everything except for this section. So because I care about y'all, I'm filming it again. The first trick I'm detective moment, we're gonna talk about Aizana, okay? And from the minute she started talking about who she was, I could tell she was Nikolai's mom. The first clue was that she was a faith healer, and the second one, she was like, I gave birth to a son. I was like, whoa, too many coincidences. She has to be Nikolai's mom, bruh. Has to be. No point in asking other questions. She has to be. But I have to be honest, I did not remember that the Tsar was Nikolai's dad. I was like, what? I was shocked. Next moment, I knew Nikolai was going to add to the island as soon as Pasha also predicted it. Pasha says, I bet you're thinking about schematics to make a dock. And I was like, oh, that's his next move. He's gonna make a dock. But he made more than a dock. And I was like, yeah, more than a dock. Also, another trick I'm a detective moment is the moon. The moon is symbolic of Pasha. And I think this is because when Vika is thinking about this phrase that Sergei used to tell her, the phrase is white moon, angel moon, blood moon, demon moon. And if we remember, Pasha was an angel during the ball when he was carefree as Dmitri before his parents forced him to change. And now that there's this blood moon, it's this red moon, Pasha's completely different. He's being controlled by his sister and he's not thinking with as much compassion that he used to. So I think the moon is symbolic of Pasha. And the last thing, I'm calling it right now, bruh, Nikolai must come back. Nikolai must come back, okay? His mother came back, so he can come back. And his mother is not as awesome as him. So he must come back. Another thing, we see he's in the conjured vision. Vika sees that he is in the conjured vision on the bench of his home. So we just have to get him out. We just need a strong sorcerer who now has access to all of that magic to get him out and make sure he doesn't come out dead. Who could have all that magic now? Vika, looking at you, girl. Looking at you. So that concludes my book review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know that was a lot, but I love this book and I loved rereading it, so I can go into the next book, which is The Crown's Fate. I'm so excited to go into it. So like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what your favorite moments were. Let me know what your favorite enchantment was, and let me know if you think she should be with Pasha or Nikolai. Let me know how you think Nikolai's gonna come back, bruh. I'm so excited. So yeah, all that's left to say is bye-bye.